supposed to be a festive occasion, especially when you consider, let me get the glare out your face. See if we can do that for you. Maybe, possibly not. A little bit more glare, but you know how it is. I didn't really take a moment to set up. I was in a situation where, you know, a few tears got to be shed and this and that and the other. For those of you who don't know, you know, I'm the one and only guy they call Town Taurus from Town Taurus Music. Crime Code Records. I pretty much spearhead what's known as the crimies and crimesters, criminologist universe. And what started out as a week for us, where we're pushing a lot of times UGC and other forms of content to not only get the music out there, but in a nutshell, bringing together a global community of individuals that stand for the same thing we stand for. Our religion is authenticity. That being the case, you know, we lost a good one today. I suppose it was yesterday, but you know, it's all been a blur. It's always a blur. It's a guy I met a long time ago. For those of you who don't know my story, you know, 25 years old, I was on the federal death row unit. When I got transferred from the federal death row unit, I ended up getting transferred eventually to Supermax, a place called Bosco Bell. And I say I was in there probably about 18 months, almost a couple of years when I come across this guy. At the time I went up there, you know, I had about 6 years left to hit the streets, you know. Well, anyway, I ended up coming across this guy, and we became, you know, best friends probably from day one. You understand what I'm talking about? Besides the fact, you know, he beat me in chess probably about 100 to 25. If he was here, he'd probably say, you know, it's probably about 75 to 37. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, we had a long-standing joke, you're only as good as your last game. And since, you know, I won the last one, of course, you feel me? I guess that's why this week started off festive, because, you know, I grew up as a kid in sports. Predominantly baseball, basketball, football, track and field, gymnastics, etc. So a lot of the ideas that I had behind pushing the brand is centered around, you know, sports magic, the kind of energy that comes with the whole sports community. You feel me? And it was largely that mentality of sports that drove me while I was in the game, while I was in the streets, and this, and that, and third, or in life, you know, philosophies and this, and that, and third. And, you know, not to be that graphic, but 14 years old, the squad I'm rolling with, the guy that's running the squad, he put together a whole operation to basically hit the jewelry stores. And you hit the jewelry stores, and he crafted the whole scheme and plan of how to hit the jewelry stores based off, you know, Rose Bowl, top football team playbooks, you know? So I would say all the way up to this point where I meet this brother in the Supermax, you know, sports in itself had that huge of an impact in my life, whether it was on the field or in the streets or in any other version of life. And I would say in a sportsmanship kind of way, he was the kind of teammate, you know, the perfect kind of teammate, man. Currently, we have on the channel, on the YouTube Shorts channel for Town Taurus Music, is a video clip. It's a baseball clip. The question is whether or not this is somebody added bunt. So I'll give you 4 options. Hopefully that's not too much for you, but check it out. Is it a strike? Is it a foul? Is it a hit? Bunt? What is it? So, you know, you can weigh in. I didn't get a chance to really develop the ideal I was going to bring to the table with it, other than the fact that basically about 40 minutes from now will be the premiere for the video visualizer for the song Whistling. I hope it's whistling. Let's find out. Because it probably wasn't even supposed to be whistling. That's how much things were happening around here, to the point where I may not have even popped off the right demo. But we shall find out. I hope it is the right one. See here. Looks like it's reading the right way, but is it playing the right way? Let's find out. Why we ain't got no sound in this bad boy? Let's try this. All right. So, my mistake. Everything's set up the right way, but we off a day, so 40 minutes from now, essentially the premiere for the visualizer video for the song This Is Fuego. We was getting a lot of traction over there on FM radio at 104.5.
Who hotter than this?
So yeah, that's what today was supposed to be about, celebration for This Is Fuego. Don't hesitate to go ahead over there and take you a peek. But partner ended up passing away, man, so that kind of put a damper on how I was gonna move in regards to the whole, let's talk about the video and let's talk about the song. Let's talk about the channel. As I was saying, you know, I came up in sports, and it's that type of energy that I held in all respects of life, that type of fervor on all counts, you know. 365 days a year, I don't see nothing else. You know, up in the morning at a quarter to 6, roll out of bed and busting bricks. You understand what I'm talking about? Let's do it. You feel me? And is that all you got? I hope you got more. You understand what I'm talking about? So, anyway, this is the kind of guy that this brother was, man. Finally got up out the system. He got up out the system really like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, maybe last month, or 2 years ago this month. Yeah, just got up out the system after being locked down from, I think he said 92. It did about 30 years. So, from a young age on up. In 30 years, man, I'll tell you about it. They used to have in the prison system, they used to have this law firm. I'll tell you how it went. And after I tell you about it, you could probably look it up on YouTube or something like that. Google it. And you'll see a plethora or a whole line of years and decades of legal litigation regarding prison cases, treatment of prisoners' human rights, anything from search warrants, habeas corpus, mandamus, you know, appeals on a state level, federal level. And this is how I would describe it. Heaven must have needed some legal counsel, man, because bro was cut like that, man. Out of all the guys, and he wasn't part of the law school, but that's why I'm bringing up the law school. It's a brother, I guess in the 60s or 70s. He was a U.S. magistrate, something to that extent. That's basically, he was a federal judge. Got caught up in some sort of financial crimes and this and that and third. They sent him to prison. And so while he in prison, he connect with this other brother. Now this brother, he was a lawyer, as far as I recall the story. The one brother that was the judge, his name was Ben Rilla. Reminds you kind of like, in my mind, I always picture like a hood version of Clarence Thomas, but he the hood version, you know what I'm saying? So he ain't timing at all, right? You know, ain't no time in his name at all, right? But, it's more Langston Hughes and A. Philip Randolph and Malcolm and, Huey and, you feel me, Fred Hampton and things of that magnitude to his character, right? And he associated with this lawyer. You call him YG. And I tend to picture YG. You can picture it with me. I tend to picture YG as like a Willie D. Like from the Ghetto Boys, he like a Willie D, right? These two, they partnered together and they put together this whole law school. They start training brothers in the joint. And in the process of training them, they start having these brothers, get their GED. Then you got a GED, get your GED, get your high school education, go through, and then they have them go through paralegal studies and this like that. So Blackstone, a few of the other ones and things like that. I can't name off the top of my head, but Blackstone was the premier one that they probably had started with, because 99.9% of them had got their paralegal degree out of Blackstone, right? So almost hit me. Might be the other one, might be McGraw. You see what I'm talking about? So anyway, put it like this. I come in the system, I come along a path, and I come along a path at the juncture where the youngest one of the top ones in this whole law firm that they created, this brother named Philip Hudson. I think he might have been out of Mississippi, but came up in like Milwaukee and things like that. His sons up out of Milwaukee, things like that. They call him Akbar. So Akbar was one. There's another brother they call One Way, which is crazy because when you listen to the song, This Is Fuego, think about this. I'm 19 years old. I meet this guy. That's his name. His nickname, his street name is One Way. His real name is Wayne Brewer. He the first one I meet, or at least the first one out of there that I met and I had some kind of talk and association and discussion with him, right? And at the time, I'm 19 years old. I'm 22 feet underground. I'm under investigation for possible homicide charges and this and that third. The victim ended up surviving. In the process of the victim surviving, they hit me with attempted murder. And he next door to me. And he basically breaking down, listen, this is what you're going to want to do. First thing you're going to want to do is write to the U.S. Supreme Court, state Supreme Court, and get the Supreme Court reporters and the Supreme Court rules and see if they'll send you that, right? And then, because you could go through the law library, but 9 times out of 10, if you go through the law library, it's pages missing, things like that. You see what I'm saying? So it'd be better if you can get your own tools right now, and you get your own tools, start with, start there. So he took me down this path. And the path was, like I said, writing to the U.S. Supreme Court, writing to the state Supreme Court, getting the Supreme Court reporters and the Supreme Court rules. Basically, getting the breakdown on the rules related to, let's say, for instance, you talking about rules about the relationship between you as a client to the lawyer, this and that and the third. So he's telling me, bit by bit, which parts I need to basically focus on the most, and step by step based on what transpires in relationship to the whole, journey of going through the trial and this and that and third. So he starts me down. Later on, I get transferred to double max. You feel me? And when I get transferred to double max, we won't go into the whole long thing about that. We'll catch that one another time. But this is essentially, they locked me down. Probably, this is like a month after, within the 30, I say 45 to 60 days after the Jeffrey Dahmer murder, right? So after Jeffrey Dahmer and Jesse Anderson get killed, this is probably about no more than 45 days. I would say like that. And so now they got me on the range down the hall from Akbar, Philip Hudson, and he talking to this white dude. He breaking it down to the white dude and what he need to be doing in this particular case. And I breathe down on him like, hey, you know what I mean? Listen, man, you've been reading the newspaper. I'm the dude they got in the newspaper, this and that and third, yada, yada, yada. He said, man, don't sweat it. I got you, this and that and third. So he tried to aid and assist me. In the process of him trying to aid and assist me, I'm 20 at this time. He 55. You understand what I'm talking about? I think one way was probably like in his 30s. And truth come out that he was in his 40s, he probably said, damn, young blood, you gave a brother a helping hand. It's like, I probably never thought he was no more than about 28 to 33. I knew he was older than 28, but I would have never credited him as being nowhere near older than about 33, 34 at the most. Probably could have been in his 40s, though. So anyway, more than likely it was, right? But me coming across Akbar starts to fill in more blanks. In fact, Akbar pretty much filled in all the blanks. But he felt like, it's a disconnect in our discussion because, him being 55, he trying to son me, him being 55, me being 20, he really trying to give it to me like a father would give it to his son. But I'm trying to let him know, his son probably wouldn't go up in there with the AK loaded. You understand what I'm talking about? So we need to have this different kind of discussion. You feel me? And then with that being the case, I need to have it like this. I need to know all the particulars. I don't need you to say, well, this and that and third, and then I just go and make that move. I need to know all the moves, so goddammit, when you ain't around, I continue to be able to function the way things necessarily need to be functioning. So, me talking to him the way I talk to, I talk the way I talk, right? You either understand or you don't understand, And I think for him, it was more or less like, look, young punk, I is not in your goddamn organization. Listen, son, I'm trying, you know what I'm saying? It was still that. And to me, it's like, listen, man, I wouldn't mind what particular age, chronologically or not, that, Allah, God, or whoever gave it to you, right? But that's besides the point. This is the factors, and the factors go like this. 5 plus 5 being 10, it's going to have to go like that at all time. So I think for him, it was like, me being that direct, me being that blunt, me being that to the point, it's like, oh, man, I can't deal with this young son of so-and-so, right? So all the time, he kind of like bag away from me. It's truth be told, I'm radical in the sports kind of way. I'm super radical, right? You ever been in baseball and they got the terminology, don't hot dog? That's because of me. Instead of talking about no hot dogging, they came up with that because of me, man. You feel me? Guaranteed. You feel me? So I'm telling you, it's like, him being 55, I guess he's, how they said, I'm old school. It's not another. So for them, it's a protocol you got to go through. And then maybe him now feeling he's got a distinguished space as a, Muslim, as an individual with the handle on the law. In a nutshell, when I breathed on him, when I spoke to him, and I said he was discussing the law with the white guy and breaking down to the white guy what steps to make, you got to understand, I breathed on him because he basically was saying, he's breaking down to the white guy how he just beat this case. You feel me? So I'm fully knowing that his handle on the law, and it goes further than that. That's just to show you how dynamic and how well put together the guys in this law firm really were. So much so to the extent where, at the end of the day, he beat the criminal case that he was charged with a criminal case. The allegation was that Akbar took his TV set and bust the sergeant over the head, and the TV set rolled down and broke Akbar's foot. And in the process of it breaking his foot, in retaliation, though, the medical staff and the prison guards that transported him to the HSU failed to secure him properly and caused more damage to the foot, right? You know, he not only beat the criminal case, but turned around and sued them and won the suit. You see what I'm saying? So you're not, when I say these dudes was in law school, you know, they the Michael Jordans of goddamn it getting you up out of jail kind of guys, right? So anyway, you know, if you favor LeBron James, well, let's put it like this. They the LeBron Jameses of getting you up out the penitentiary, just like that. You feel me? So I'm well aware by this time who I'm talking to, why I'm talking to him, and this and that and third. But at the same time, I'm telling him, you can't just tell me what you telling everybody. I'm gonna need you to implant it in my head the right way, from the beginning to the end, right? But, you know, like I said, he took offense to it all the time. I'm thinking the offense he took to it was, man, I just ain't gonna help you. Well, you know, some people they ain't built to help you. You feel me? You know, so I learned not to be looking for people to give me no help. You know what I'm saying? I know the kind of line of work I was in. I know the kind of line of lifestyle I was in. Some people, they ain't built for that kind of help. You feel me? They realize what's really going on, how it's really going on, why it's really going down like that at that particular point in time. They like, man, whoa, you understand me, Kimosabe? You understand me? That's a whole different kind of, you know what I'm saying, G-thing you got going on over there. You feel me? So I took it like that all the time. I ended up meeting the youngest one in this whole particular squad. And this guy, he pulled up on me and he's like, man, I got word from a kite from, you know, Akbar telling me to, you know, breathe on you, speak on you, man, aid and assist you in any shape, form, fashion you should happen. And he broke it down. But, you know, I said that I felt that particular way towards Akbar. Now, this brother, he's breaking it down. Yeah, Akbar, you know, Akbar said he was a piece of work. You understand what I'm talking about? You understand? He said, his exact words was, you know, he said, Young Bone, he radical like you. And you gotta understand the guy, Young Bone, the reason he's in this double max is because in the 80s, going into the 90s, something to that extent, they swarmed the prison guards in the rotunda and gave it to the prison guards real heavy, you feel me? And didn't stop giving it to the prison guards in no shape, form, or fashion, you understand what I'm talking about? So, anyway, long story short, we'll get into the particulars at some point, right? But the extent to which these particular guys out of this law firm were able to develop law in the United Swamp of America, for the brother Mustafa not to come from this particular section that I had been associated with, he was exceptional. He was on that level though. You know what I mean? He was really on that level, and a lot of it was self-taught. Although I know at some point he fell in real heavy with a lot of the gentlemen that came out of the particular law firm I'm telling you about, which would only be natural, them being incarcerated, being in the same vicinity, and most of his studies would have been about a great deal of the casework and case law that they had put together throughout the Seventh Circuit and throughout the United Swamp of America, right? But anyway, you know, RiP Mustafa ill, man. And we're going to do this one, put this one in the books on his behalf, just where it is, right? Stay tuned, though. More to come. Town Taurus. You know how to do it. Crime Code Records, we out.